How many of us will become one of the Coreys and plunge a stake into the heart of this movie? And how many of us will drink the blood and live forever? Gen Wars. Welcome to Gen Wars, the generational podcast and sometimes combative based on our last episode between the Gen Xers and the millennials. I'm your host, Nick, and together with this ragtag group of vampire hunters, we're going to review the 1987 vampire classic, The Lost Boys. Joining me on the Gen X side of things, we have our good friend Cam, and on the millennial side of things, we have Katherine and Steven. How's everybody doing today?
Excellent.
Doing well.
Bangarang.
Excellent. Not the right movie, but we'll get
Wrong
into
movie.
that.
I'm pretty sure it's the right movie. That's the one I watched. With Robin Williams about the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we're going to be in a very different conversation.
A little bit of a pickle here.
Yeah.
As we did on our last episode, we kind of removed the formatting and went with a little more free-flowing conversation, and then we dropped our scores at the end, which we will still be basing our scores on the criteria listed below, but this will just give us a little more free-flowing conversation instead of being so regimented. If you haven't seen this movie in a while, let me give you a brief synopsis before we get into this. When a recently divorced mother and her two teenage boys move to a coastal Northern California town to stay with her father, it doesn't take long before the brothers realized that the area is a haven for something more sinister than party-going surfers. So I have a question to start this off.
Go for it.
Do it.
If put in the position that Michael is put in, where he goes to hang out with this group of kids, this group of biker deviants that are kind of in this town, and after experiencing the maggots in the Chinese food box and the worms, would you drink the blood? And the second part of this is, if you knew what you were about to get into and what you would become because of that, would you drink the blood? So it's a two-part question. Anybody?
Well, psychologically, they broke him down in that situation to get him to drink the blood.
Okay.
So, would
Yeah.
you be outwitted by the psychological attack on yourself at that point? Because, I mean, first he was eating maggots and he was potentially eating worms, and it's like blood, and it was like, no, it's not. You guys are full of it. I'm gonna drink it. Like, I could see that happening. But I mean, if you're also into blood, you'd have been like, did somebody say blood? And start drinking it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the second part is the voluntarily. Like, you voluntarily said, oh, you guys are vampires, and if I drink this, I'm going to become one of you. Would you do it?
I don't
as well?
I don't think anyone really knew that these people were vampires until
No.
later.
That's a secondary question. Like, just
I
if
I don't know if you would believe it.
I guess that's what like
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
if you knew
No.
if they showed you their teeth, they showed you what they can do, and they said, if you drink this, you become a vampire, would you do that?
Sure.
Steven's very simple.
No.
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 Full Bugs Bunny.
It's very simple. Yeah.
All right. Is that a so Cam, that would be a yes, or that'd be a maybe if you actually knew that they were vampires?
I mean, it seemed like they had some really cool stuff going on. They got like flight, and I mean, I already sleep a lot during the day, so I'm
I mean,
halfway there.
at this point, you're already
Okay.
in their lair. So if they're offering it to you and you say no, they're most likely just going to kill you.
Yeah, that's where I was like, there were so many
true.
mistakes in like logic and critical thinking skills before that point to be at that point and be like, we're already kind of goofed this up at this point. Might as well.
Is it before or after he got the earring?
Ooh, that is a good. Well, because that montage was a little
That
ethereal.
was before.
Yeah, it was before. That was the first
He drank
thing.
No,
the
wait.
blood before the earring?
Yeah. Because
Yeah, 'cause
because
he
she
was-
said there was a comment about it. He was going to get an earring. And she's like, it's a waste of
Yes.
money. I can do it cheaper. And then he's like, oh, like, get on my motorcycle. And
Yeah.
Let's go to my grandpa's house and pierce my ear. I don't know.
I don't know where he was going. There's like jumping into kind of like things I want to discuss. Where we're talking about like the spirit of the film. To the class, to the collective here, who is the main character of this film?
Nanook.
No. Well, okay. Bringing up Nanook. Why? Okay, I'm not a big
dog story about a weird family that has him and moved him across country.
But no. Why would you get a husky in Arizona and then and bring it to California? Like, aren't those animals like not heat animals?
Steven, there are people with huskies in Florida.
Yeah, and
That
in
doesn't make
California, oddly enough.
You're not wrong. But...
Okay, I was like, why do they have huskies? There's so many dogs that you could have in Arizona. Why a husky?
We could deviate into a Balto side of the movies here, but I would say that they actually regulate a lot of their heat, even with all of that undercoat and stuff.
Okay.
They can definitely get hot, but I would say one thing that I noticed, I don't know, I didn't realize that Arizona was, downtown Los Angeles, California in 1987, because the way that kid dressed and everything, I was like, it was very odd. Like, even for Arizona, like, I don't know. I just don't.
Corey Haim?
Yeah, Corey with like all of his jackets, lots of jackets.
That was quite a look, yeah.
And collared shirts and stuff. I mean, I guess you could have picked that up from Arizona somewhere. It seemed weird. One thing I did really like was her car, though. She had a old Toyota Land Cruiser. A55, like, I don't know. That's what I got drawn to. I was like, I could see that in Arizona, just none of the other things. I don't know. It was
not a fan
odd.
of the dress, the costume designer in this movie. At least for Corey, they were like, put him in all the patterns, put him in
Steven
all the...
looks...
Oh, it's awful.
This is an 80s-tastic movie. I
It
don't know what you're
is.
talking about.
It's
great.
rough.
Take from the Gen Xers.
Yes.
It's
See, hold
I
on.
loved it.
I look back at all the photos of the crap that I wore when I was a kid, and I was like, "Why did you let me wear that?" And my mom's usually like, "You wanted to wear that,"
Yeah,
and I
it's
said,
the style.
"Why did you let me wear that?"
It
awful.
sets it as a very good period piece. So I don't know, like I don't
Yeah.
think you can fault the costume designer here. Like that was
he was
especially a
the one that
California look.
how old
He
is
was the one that
this kid?
stood out the most out of all of them.
Out of everyone,
Sam?
and we.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam's
yeah.
character. Yeah, Corey Haim.
He was supposed to. Like he was supposed to be kind of like and this is why I asked that, like, who is the main character?
that's what
is it the kid? Is it Michael or is it Sam? Because you have two coming of age stories. One is like the romance older
Both.
teen, and then you have Sam's, which is the young, like, becoming a hero narrative. And it's
Plus, there's this whole subplot of like MILF
It's about their
story.
relationship. Yeah.
the MILF story, the great beginning.
The beginning.
Is her name Diane Weist? Is that how you say it? Weist.
Weist.
I feel like she totally got typecast as the woman who keeps getting divorced in the
The
80s.
ex-hippie.
100%.
Yeah, because she
so
did
many
Parenthood
movies.
at the same time, and then like she kind of has this like, oh well, we just got divorced. It's awkward, and I say jokes at the wrong time, and it was just yeah.
It was pretty fantastic.
She's definitely an odd one, but I do love her every time she's in a movie. That is for sure.
Yeah. I do.
I love it.
She was
But
such
she
a
got
kind mother.
Very quirky
yes.
too.
Very quirky.
I will say,
Yes.
we this is the umpteenth movie that y'all have subjected me to, where it starts out moving. Like, this is such a like drawn out
moving.
trope.
Yeah.
It's like
Everyone's moving. in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, it's like a sight unseen, like big upheaval going into. I did love.
Next movie. We're just gonna make you watch the Karate Kid next, then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Oh my God, I'm done with this call. Goodbye.
It definitely only takes
With Will
place in
Smith or
California.
with Jaden Smith?
No,
And Jackie
no,
No.
get out, out.
Oh man. Karate chop my own eyes out.
Yeah, right.
Like going into the like so Sam is a main character with equal screen time of Michael. They're both the main
Yes,
characters
I would say
of
it's a
this story.
co-starring.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's kind of about their relationship as brothers. Yeah.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Disagree?
Disagree. Yeah.
Oh, what's your take?
Have any of y'all seen the movie poster to this?
No.
Yeah,
Looking up.
Yeah, Michael's
Yeah.
right on the front.
that's true.
He's
Who's
front and
bigger?
center.
Who's bigger?
Is Corey even on there?
Interesting. Corey's not even on there.
He is.
So
he is.
we-
He's way in the back. He's like.
He's that big. Your main character's
he's-
that big in the back.
He's next
yeah.
to. He's next to.
He shares
Alex
screen
Winter.
time with the other guy that's like this big on the poster.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
He's cooking. Let him
Okay.
cook.
Okay.
and in your synopsis, I think a lot of this revolves around Michael. At the end of the day, if this was a movie about Corey, it would have been like, hey, I'm obnoxious when I go to comic book stores and I don't have any friends. And you know, Michael is immediately trying to get into it. He's like, I'll change whatever you want about me. Like, you don't like this bike, it's not fast enough. I don't have enough holes in my head. I'll get more. He's all about
Whatever
you
it
got
takes to
blood
get
over
her.
there? Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Which, again, like, I don't really understand that part of it in rewatch. There was like, and there's a small fraction of this I'll come back to, but there is just not enough interaction for these people to just get like so hooked on anything. But it could be some kind of vampire attraction that is going on instantly. And that's, you know, she's trying to, you know, get him alone. And, you know, ultimately he was supposed to be her first kill.
So yeah, she was trying to lure him in. Then
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of in a lot of vampire stuff that I've watched. There's always the underlings or the familiars trying to bring in. Why is Steven throwing his
what is
hands
going on there?
There's a big point I have to bring up. Speaking of other
Okay.
vampire material, so when the Frog brothers kill the first vampire, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The blood is glitter. Is this where the
Yes.
Twilight origin story? Like, is this
It
like
has-
normal lore for vampires?
I don't know, but I saw that when
No.
they stepped out in the sun, their hair where it dumped all over them is all glittering in the sunlight. And I was like,
love
wow, I wonder if they took that directly from this movie.
Well, also Bella is from Phoenix too.
Right. So I'm just really like
Oh.
I'm putting two and two together between those two franchises. Like.
Stephanie
kind of
Meyer
floored. I
stole
was like-
something.
I will also say that there's a lot of glitter in Batman and Robin. And I think the connection here is Joel Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher.
And I
that is. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I did not put it together until I saw his name slap up there. I was like, this is a Joel Schumacher movie? And I was like,
Yeah,
a lot of
I
things that are
didn't-
starting to make sense about some choices.
Yeah, I didn't realize
Especially
that
all the
until I was
wardrobe
checking
from
it out.
Max to Sam.
That's
Yeah,
true. That is a very
I
good
didn't.
point.
But if we're going into vampire taking pieces from other movies that inspired things later on down the line, that is an interesting like point back or nod back
Yeah.
to that where we got that.
Well,
in the
apparently
Twilight.
this movie inspired Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well.
It felt like they were trying. And maybe. See, I'm still a glutton for our structure, so I'm just going to keep relating back to my keywords of like rewatchability. This movie, to me, would be a perfect short Netflix series. I feel like they left a lot to like they really moved through the story at really weird paces. I felt like the beginning dragged, and then like a montage happens, and now we're moving on to this next thing, and then like there was so much that I wanted to be a little bit more explored. There was a whole mentality of like missing children that I don't think was tapped into enough.
Yes.
This was a big thing going on. Like this is, I think, around the time of John Benet Ramsey and all of that stuff.
Negative.
No.
No.
No, that
No,
was in the 90s.
that's a whole decade
This
before.
is-
This actually
What
has
year did this
real
come out?
life.
Yeah.
1987.
1980. Oh, I thought it was 97.
It was
I was
borrowed
thinking
from like the
Deep
true
Hor-
murder capital
Horizon
of the
Deep
world, where
Impact
there
or whatever. I got my dates wrong.
there are like what 30 murders that happen in the course of a month or something in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, from 3 different men that were on a murder spree, and like that murder capital of the world part, like that's a legit.
Now that's me.
Slogan. Yeah, no, that's a good slogan for them. For the
You're the best
fictitious
worst,
Santa
Steven.
I know.
Clara.
But okay, so like the fear of losing your children, or like the children, because there was a lot of missing persons posters, which I think was really. There was a lot of show don't tell. I really have to give this movie a lot of credit for like showing and don't telling. And I can appreciate that, but I still think with some of the pacing and the world that they built out, we moved really fast in this movie.
Yes.
I felt that they accomplished a lot. They told a succinct story, but I do think there was some glazing that was happening with pacing and trying to like move on to the next thing. A lot of development between like Star and Michael left a little bit to be desired. I think development between Sam and the Frog brothers needed a little bit of development. The relationship between Max and Lucy, which is a reference to the original Dracula film, correct? Isn't that the first kill from the original Dracula movie was named Lucy?
I don't know that.
Well,
I don't know.
I'll keep rambling while Nick fact checks that. The relationship building felt a little bit shallow in just
It is
pacing.
Lucy.
Oh,
I
shit.
knew a thing. I did something.
Good.
Oh, I haven't seen Dracula,
Nice.
but I learned that fun fact.
Okay.
So with like all of the stage is set, like I would give it to like the Duffer Brothers to like, hey, let's reboot the Lost Boys for like I would say 4 episodes. If you had 4 Netflix episodes, like 45 minutes, this would be a great tell the same story, hit all the same beats, but explore those relationships. This would be a really good IP to pick up and revitalize. Specifically, the brother from Stranger Things that is kind of like the punk guy of the sister. He looks like Michael. They are the same person to me in my head. I'm very face blind. They look the same. If you shaved his mustache, he also kind of looks like Hayden Christensen in O2. And I couldn't shake that either. I was like, why do people hate on Hayden Christensen's like performance? It's kind of like the same as what we're getting here from Michael. Like,
He was
very
really going
confused who you
for
were
a
talking
Jim
about.
Morrison look.
Yes, he was very Jim Morrison.
that is
I
a
mean,
very
I don't know.
interesting style. I
I don't know how
like
many
that
times
look.
we had to see Jim Morrison in the movie, but yeah, like that was a look that they were going for with Michael.
I loved it. I was here for it.
There was a very
Yeah.
prominent mural in the nest, in the vampire nest of Jim Morrison.
How could you miss
saw.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
saw that in
15 scenes.
Who is the poster in Sam's room? That kind of like threw me. a
Rob
little-
Lowe. Rob Lowe.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I wrote down Rob Lowe, but I'm like, wasn't
I was
100%.
like, why is this very sexy poster of Rob Lowe? Dude?
Rob Lowe on the door?
That felt like a subtle like insight
Yeah.
into Sam. I was like,
I mean, yeah, no comment. He obviously had some questionable choices in here, from wardrobe to interior.
Tim
And also taking a
Capello.
full-fledged bubble
saxophone.
bath and singing.
There's
Oh,
that
the
too.
saxophone. Love the saxophone. Steven,
I have
your
s-
thoughts on the saxophone?
I love this. Like that concert
it.
was wild. That felt like fever dream. Like, I would probably go out into a den of murderous people on my motorcycle after going to a concert like that. If I was willingly going to something like that, I was like, I'm prowling around, First chick that
Nothing
I
like a
see.
swole, oiled up sax guy. Yeah.
Yeah, to really set
That
the
guy
tone.
was far too confident to be singing what he was singing. That's all I'm saying. Like
He still
was
does
just
it.
really mixed.
He still does it. Look him up on
does.
TikTok. Yeah.
He does.
That's wild.
I saw that today. Yeah.
As far as the soundtrack is concerned, it was my first
great.
experience into the Doors, even though Echo and the
Oh.
Bunnymen is the one who covered it in the beginning. I really dislike the music on the play around. Cry Little
I
Sister,
liked it.
I think is just absolutely horrid to listen to.
I love it.
It is.
I don't
oh my
mind
God,
that song.
It's like daggers into my ear. It's just so.
Hold on.
that is a hot
You
take.
didn't hold on. You just went to go see the Loserville tour and you missed Corey, and he does Cry Little Sister, I believe, as his closer.
I mean,
Like you were this close to seeing it
I don't know if
live.
that balanced out because I missed seeing the performance and I also hate
know.
the song. So it's like,
would've
no,
been
I
great.
was devastated not being able to see Corey. I still am shocked that they put him on that early, like 3 hours before the show.
Damn.
Oh yeah,
Sidetrack.
yeah. Opening act.
See, I liked the music in this movie. I enjoyed it. It's very 80s. And I do
did
love
as
the Doors.
well.
I latched onto this movie as a kid because I love the Doors so much.
For someone that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
illiterate
Yeah.
in like, I don't know bands, I don't know performers or anything, like tonally, like just like immersion, very immersive. Like it set like I felt like the appropriate period piece. I felt that the performance of the song was good for tonal like storytelling. So I don't have any ties to any of these songs per se. I guess I really truly live under a rock because you guys are just spouting
really
out
do.
like these performers like them, and I'm just like, oh, there was a song that was playing that felt appropriate for the moment. Cool. Like
Well, we're here to educate you, Steven.
I know, all
Yeah.
right, yeah, that's why we do this.
bring
That's
up
why you
Steve.
like and subscribe and do all the great things. Gen Wars podcast. Dude, just making sure that you're liking and subscribing in this mid conversation point.
You may learn
Yes.
something too.
Yeah, not a fan of the Roger Daltrey "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me" cover either. It's not a bad cover. It's just not. It's not my cup of tea. I'd much prefer the original.
Oh, yeah. I'm
I'm with you.
definitely more of an original versus covers person in general.
I
Depending on.
I really like the
cover.
cover of the Doors in this one. I thought it was
Yeah. I don't mind that one. Yeah.
Smoother, I guess is the way to describe it.
Smoother
and
works.
I don't think I picked up on it originally that it wasn't the Doors. I always thought it was the Doors because it'd been so long since I had seen it. But upon re-listen, I was like, it doesn't exactly sound like Jim Morrison. And then looking it up, it was like Echo and the Bunnymen. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, that makes total sense for the period that this was out. And then it got me thinking, I was like, well, here we also kind of have a theme. Not only are we moving, but we're starting movies with popular songs that are covered by current era. And I was like,
Yeah.
Isn't
All
in,
right,
in
yeah.
excess too.
yeah,
this movie.
the ENXS tracks are great. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well-
This movie did also spawn 2 sequels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's right.
2008 and 2010, The Lost Boys: The Tribe and The Lost Boys: The Thirst. And Corey Feldman is in both of them, and nobody else from any of the other anybody else is in it. Just him.
I've
how
never
they
seen them.
perform? That sounds like something that was not handled
Bad.
appropriately.
Very.
Okay.
I think
no,
it went straight to
poorly.
like DVD or something.
Oh
Yeah.
God! A death sentence.
Now, so in the first one, Angus Sutherland is in it, which is Kiefer's half brother, which is interesting.
Okay.
Oh.
The first sequel.
Yeah, the first sequel, the Tribe. I have not seen either of these. I
haven't seen him either.
don't think I want to. Maybe that's for a future Gen Wars episode, or we get into those. But Yeah.
So-
there was 2 movies from that.
It doesn't have the
Yeah.
grandpa because I felt like it was really good. Like when he swigged the root beer and it's like, I hate these
The
damn
grandpa
vampires.
was. God, I love the
love-
grandpa.
Okay. Was he fighting? So I got the like that they were alluding to that like that's what he was actually doing. Like he was literally moonlighting as a vampire hunter, and that like the taxidermy thing was just kind of like his cover for doing this. Because when he put the spear stake after kind of noticing that like Michael was being a goober into the ground, I was like, he totally knows what's going on. He knows this stuff. And then when he did it at the end, I was like, ha 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 ha. I was right.
So he passed away in 2006,
Oh,
so
son
he
of a
did not
bitch.
get to see the sequels.
Aw.
I think I think your point is valid. An argument could be made,
do.
but I think with the hour and a half runtime of
that.
this movie, there isn't enough. You would just have to speculate that.
Duffer
but I
Brothers,
think you could make
Netflix
that
original
argument.
series, The Lost Boys,
gonna need-
really expanding on just the content that was covered in this movie. I think it would slap.
They need something to do now that Stranger Things is coming to its
Stick to the
finale.
practical effects, stick to the costuming. Like it all works now. Like you could look at California today, and California in this film looks the same. There's a whole bunch of like problems in the area. There's a whole bunch of people that dress really weird. Perfect. Just make like this is the perfect time to like make a series out of this. I really enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I'm gonna like open up.
I've absolutely loved this movie. It was a childhood film for me, for sure. This film didn't have a huge budget. It was $8.5 million, which
Ooh, that's
I didn't even
tiny.
look
pretty
that up.
low.
Yeah, that's pretty tiny.
So I liked some of the creative ways that they did the camera work, where they're not exactly showing stuff. I love how they're swooping the camera down. You're the viewer as the vampire.
Yeah.
And so they're not showing it, so it's like saving on budget, but it's a creative way of showing things without exactly telling the viewer that they're vampires.
In 87, flying mechanics are pretty basic at that time, so having that point of view camera definitely works, I think, far better than trying to stick Kiefer Sutherland on a rig and try to dangle him over the
Zip
city,
line.
and you're like, wow, that looks terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was really creative.
That
Yeah.
well, and
It
it's
was
good.
terrifying too.
It was good
Yes.
not putting CGI in where it didn't need to be. Like use the like this is like the perfect like let's actually do cinematography and actually try. I will say counterpoint what I didn't like. There were so many like sudden zooms on faces in a row. I felt like I was watching like an India like parody film where they're like zoom in the face, zoom in on the
Like a
other face, and
telenovela.
like it was just like I was just like, oh my god, I am taken out of the experience. It was like a couple scenes where they did that exact thing, like they were zooming on everybody in this situation, and I just laughed so hard, and I wasn't supposed to be laughing. Like that's the only cinematography like ooh naughty boy point I'll put on that, but there was way too many zoom cuts. Like that was killing me.
Yes.
Like zooms.
But I did like a lot of the practical effects at the end with the vampire kills and it was gorgeous. Yeah, like it's like the
And I
blood
love that
bursting
they
out of the
queued it
sink
up.
and
This is my perfect like throwaway line. Is like no two vampire deaths are the difference. Like sometimes they explode, and we got them all. And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
you set it up perfectly for like just like hey, we're gonna do some really weird and fun stuff here, and do like as many like different kind of death styles as we can do, with queuing it up with a line of dialogue in the world building. Loved it.
I also love the humor in the film too. There's a lot of good humor.
I think
You
I
know?
get a lot of my humor from Grandpa.
Yeah. In
And,
my
like,
notes.
he was a solid foundation in my comedy upbringing. He was just so dry, and you know whether you got it or not, you got to stake through the heart at the end. So like he definitely hit. I love that
Yes. Exactly. In my notes, whenever he's like, I'm gonna go see the widow, and I was like, is he gonna hook up? And then like
Someone else
2
got
scenes
lucky.
later when Michael came up, he's like, someone else got lucky. I was like, yes.
guy. Yeah.
My headcanon is that he killed the husband who got turned into a vampire and then was going back to the widow and like, hey, I hear like that's the character arc that I've given him in my head.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
10 more minutes of this movie and having that little subplot thrown in there would have been fantastic.
Well,
It
that-
was
Grandpa,
a short movie.
you've been
It was
doing
only
this-
like an hour and 37 minutes.
it was a little
Yeah.
bit
Something
longer.
like that. It was short.
No, I have it up
What?
right now. It's I have it playing right now. It's 137 minutes or hour and 37 minutes. So,
Okay,
yeah.
well, it felt
Yeah,
if
it's pretty
there were
short.
some dragging points that maybe we could have trimmed at other places, like the whole, like the sex montage was okay, but like maybe you just like kind of imply it, and then you save like 15, 16 seconds, and then like kind of do that over and over again. You got like 15.
You know, we're
20
talking
minutes.
about Joel Schumacher, right?
No, I don't know
He
who that
doesn't.
is.
I don't.
so-
He doesn't know. Yeah, he doesn't know.
I don't know who that
He doesn't
is.
do short. Oh yeah.
Dang it, Steven.
I know.
Get you into Batman and Robin.
Like even
Batman, Robin,
um,
and Batman.
the game of
Forever.
chicken on the motorcycle.
Forever, thank
that
you.
scene ran too long as well. Like to me, like just
Oh, them trying to get
into the
to
fog.
yeah. A lot of weird cuts, close-ups of the zooms. I think that you were talking about there. It was rough. It was like, ooh, come on, guys. This is filmmaking 101. What are we doing?
that was
here?
Richard Donner bringing all of his Lethal Weapon over the hypeness into the game. Like they had to put in some action sequences.
The action sequences
yeah.
were good at the end.
I mean, even the motorcycle riding that wasn't exactly like, right up in his face, but there was some cool stunts.
I
And,
felt weight and movement, which was not all the time that I get and stuff like that. But it just, I think that ran too long. Like cut to him, like, oh, am I gonna do it? He's like, oh, yeah, do it, go over the edge. Like, and then it's like the fog. Oh, I can't see it. There's like 3 extra cuts to that. So however long
Yes,
that ran, it was just a little bit too long. And I think if you like were recutting this today, you could have found that 10 minutes to do a little bit more plot based stuff. Just for fun.
I don't
but
disagree.
again, I will say, like, I don't think I've seen anything in a long time that merits a series that is a true, like, spiritual successor. Like, like, don't reinvent it. Like, stick to the aesthetic, stick to practical, stick to the story. Don't change anything. Don't do anything different. But just like, there's a whole bunch of little moments that would be really good cinema in the right hands,
Yeah.
working with this IP. I think it
I
needs
don't
to
disagree.
happen.
It'd
Yeah,
be cool.
Yeah.
Just no one tell the fell dog that we've even thought about this or
Let him
potential
find. We just let him.
project.
Let him find out later.
Yeah. Later, after the fact. Yes. Please.
Also, Steven, I don't know if you noticed, but the girl that played Star was also in Twister.
Jamie
Yeah.
Curtis.
That's his ex-wife who wants the divorce, or the new wife that he's going
Yeah.
to get the
Oh
divorce
my
papers
god,
for.
yes, it was. You're right. Holy shit.
So Jamie Gertz and Jason
Laddie
Patrick
got
were-
sucked up by a twister earlier. He wasn't there.
Poor laddie.
Well, also Edward Herrmann, who played Max, was the grandpa in Gilmore Girls. That blew my kid mind when I first saw this movie. So, sorry, you guys probably didn't watch Gilmore Girls. So,
I knew he was the villain
All
the
the
second
time, never.
the first scene
Yeah.
happened with him. Just FYI, I saw that coming.
How'd you know?
I heard that one coming a mile away.
But-
Just the quick exchange of like, I told you not to come around here anymore. It's like, I got this whole plot down pat, and
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
witnesses that I kind of called it. So I was like,
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
yeah, I liked it though. I liked that foreshadowing. I think I have a proficiency in like kind of like sensing those things, because that's what I would like as a writer. That's what I would try to like set up with appropriate foreshadowing. I don't like twists that like no one could see coming, because then it's not a twist. You're just twisting. You're just tricking your audience at that point. You're not giving anybody clues.
but they
to
were
kind of
setting
feel
the
good about
audience
it.
up for it because the Frog Brothers and Sam were testing him, and then they're like, "Oh no, he failed all the tests."
And
Bait and
another
switch.
good throwaway line
Yeah.
was like, "Garlic doesn't work, fools."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
that. I think another one could have like been in there is like, me and my wife talked about it a little bit, but like there's an amount of silver in older mirrors that's not in newer mirrors, so that's why that newer like personal mirror didn't show anything, but like the older mirror did show Michael
A
kind of
faint.
fading. I don't know if that's the exact justification, but there is something to do with like an older mirror would work on vampires where a newer mirror would not.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting.
Might be worth another throwaway line just
I'll go with that.
in the rewrite.
Yeah.
In
Did
the
you
remake.
notice? You notice the Frog Brothers' name?
Yeah, Edgar and Alan.
And Alan. Yeah.
Well, and all the
I didn't
vampires
catch
had
that
very
one.
biblical names as well as being in their very church-like motel thing that fell into the ground.
Yep. Yeah.
Because
Yes,
even
and
Mark, and David.
Ooh,
Alex
wait.
Winter.
Let's talk about the goat
Alex
in
Winter. Oh,
practical
yes.
effects are Alex Winter's extensions in this movie.
Yeah. Steven hasn't seen Bill and Ted yet. He doesn't know.
Oh my god.
Aww. Yeah, hide under that bucket hat.
Yeah. It is filled to the brim with shame.
Yes.
So what I was saying before is Jamie Gertz and Jason Patric were in the movie that came out just before this called Solar Babies, which was this movie for me didn't. I had watched it in pieces and then I had finally seen it later on, probably in my later teens. But Solar Babies was one that I could more often watch because it wasn't. I think it was on HBO, but it wasn't rated R. Like it was something that it was about, I don't even know what, kids in a post-apocalyptic wasteland that were trying to like get an energy orb to restart and make it rain again. Like a lot of roller
We're
skating
doing it on
and,
inline skates.
No, they weren't on inline skates. They were on roller skates.
Oh, it's on roller skates.
Because I don't think inline skates had come out at that time. Anyways, I think that's a movie that we should cover in here. Steven, I'd like to hear Steven's opinion on that movie. But so the two of them,
I agree.
I have none
Jamie,
prior.
Jamie Gertz and Jason
I have
Patric
not
were.
seen that movie.
This was their follow-up movie together.
Oh. But this was the Corey's first movie together.
Yep,
This
the
was
two
the
Corys getting together.
I actively despised Corey Feldman's choice for his delivery of all his lines in this movie.
They were so melodramatic.
It was
But
totally Rambo inspired.
Yeah.
That's why he was dressed that way.
this-
I even
That's
got
why he's
that.
dressed
This
like
deep
Rambo.
voice. I know.
See,
It just.
this guy hasn't even seen Rambo and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I right?
didn't.
Steven gets it.
I didn't like it. It was something I did not like for that character. It was just.
Oh, I thought it was
too
funny.
put on. Okay.
Yeah, like they were definitely over the
Wrong.
top. I mean, like if your parents were incapacitated 24 hours a day in the comic book store on God knows what, and you were left to your own devices, you might wind up talking like Sylvester Stallone at some point. No one's gonna course correct. You think the other Frog brother is gonna be like, dude, no, don't do that.
The
I don't like that.
the
This
put
sounds
on.
like
don't
Nick
do
needs
that.
to watch. Sounds like you need to watch Son of Rambo, Nick. That's a good one.
Son of Rambo was excellent. I love Son of Rambo.
It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Another headcanon thing, I think the parents were legitimately vampire hunters, and that's why they're knocked out all day, because they're up all night, like, trying to track them down. That's another, like...
I definitely like
Steven's
where you're going,
diving
where like
deep
all these
here.
other people were trying to hunt vampires as vampires were trying to hunt the town. I mean, like that really does set up for a great story.
Because when you're looking at like the amount of missing people and like the narrative of like murder capital of the world, there can't only be this one nest of vampires. Like even with his
There's
illusions,
gotta
there's
be
so
more.
many. So there has to be more. So there's other people like interacting and doing stuff. So
Well, if you guys have ever watched Supernatural, there's hunters everywhere. Like there's hunters every town they go into. There's hunters. Just you're a hunter too. There's a hunter bar in the town like that. They all congregate at. So I wouldn't put it past. That's again another one of those things that we don't get to delve into, but an argument could be made for that.
right. Well, and that's why they're like transient people to me kind of lend themselves to motorcycle gangs. Like they're moving town to town. Like what I think is what is kind of shown but not told is that like this particular nest, they got a little bit too comfortable. Like these motorcycle gang, like they found a place that they liked. They kind of hunkered down. They got way too like hubris in their actions, and that's why they got by children by because they weren't being transient. So let's assume because of that, other vampires are more transient. They go town to town. They don't get caught. They don't settle down. But maybe there's a lot of them that breeze through here because it's like, oh, it's the murder capital. They're not going to notice a couple of additional lost souls taken away. Yeah. So, but I like that aesthetic with vampires. Rather than driving a Volvo, they're driving motorcycles and kind of moving through places. Makes more sense to me.
This was also something that kind of worked in they brought into future movies, like I believe it was 30 Days of Night, when there was vampires, and they were in an Alaskan town, and they showed up, and they I think similar concept where we see point of view perspective flying in of the vampires, or they were in the fog or something
in
akin
the
to that, where they're
yeah.
in the night.
I've seen this movie, one of the few that I've seen. Write this one down, ladies and gentlemen.
Put a star on the screen for him.
Yeah,
I love that film. It's a great film. But it just I don't know why I'm so hot on it. I know like I say I don't like rewrites, and then I always end up rewriting in my critiques. But I'm just so like I like this movie a lot more than I thought I would. That's like kind of the baseline thing. And there's just so much here that I really do think there's more to be told within the storytelling. And I hope it does get told well, not with bad sequels that are going to DVD, but someone that is willing to helm a project to really take the source material seriously and expand on it, because there's a lot here that I really, really like. And that's all you need. Like that's put $1 billion on it is my opinion. Like that, I don't give that out very freely.
Oh, Steven doesn't give an opinion out freely.
No, he does. Here you go.
This is how you go.
Here's all your junk mail for the day. Yeah, on rewatching this movie, I found how much I didn't like it because of the lack of just normal things like character and story development. I think it was really lacking in there. These interactions between the family members and the whole comic book store scene is weird. Even down to the fact that these guys are not really menaces. Aside from killing people, all right. So like, we understand that they're going and killing, but the scenes that they're trying to set up as them being sinister is just them walking around being creepy. It's nothing. They haven't really done anything. And back in my day, security guards knew how to enforce an amusement park policy with some strict baton action and straight chokeholds. I was like, whoa, that escalated quickly to like, you can't be here anymore. You want to go like maybe call the other cops and let them deal with it? Those parts were a little weird, even going into Max's store and just walking around and then leaving. I don't think it really set up who these people were or why they were so bad. And then, other than some food pranks, it didn't get serious until they wanted to start killing people. And,
on the beach.
Are we? Yeah, I was about to say, are we just going to disregard the beach scene where they just like absolutely gooned like 8 people?
Or the couple that were like in the car?
Well, yes, the people in the car too.
It was a slow burn.
As far as the boardwalk scene, like they weren't bad. They were just there. Is what I was trying to say. Like we didn't really see them doing anything, or no one else is witnessing like their sense of mayhem. And maybe that's them being undercover or just poor storytelling. I don't know.
No, I think
let me know in the comments.
I'm going to step up to the plate here. I think it's really good storytelling because you're supposed to allow Michael to make the decision to like, oh, they're just like some kids. Like I'm going to fall in with the wrong crowd. But I'm like, I'm not doing anything bad. And then they're like, hey, watch us like absolutely gut these people. Isn't that cool? And he's like, you know what? I think we've crossed the
Oh.
threshold where I can't go
Wait a
any
minute.
further, you know? Like, hold on.
I found
not
my boundary.
So I think it is really important to show things that are like maybe not so bad. Like, you know, they're just killing some people. It's fine. They're kidnapping some kids. It's okay. It's not on screen, so it's not an issue. And then they're like, oh wait, hold on. They're actually just gonna like straight up murder people for funsies.
I think this movie can be summed up in, this story is about Michael. He comes from a split home, and he puts to the test, if your friends jumped off of a bridge, would you?
And he does. He does do that.
He will, yeah.
And like
He
that's
does,
what
he
happens. As a result, he becomes a vampire. So remember, kids, don't do what your friends do.
Instead, go to the Funky
That's the life
store,
lesson.
funky.store, to get some good merch. You can get the I Need Healing shirt. Michael needed a lot of healing through it, and so
Yes,
does
he
the
did.
Overwatch the Dead
So
game
much-
that's making fun of. So you can check that out at funky.store.
So did anybody notice this? I had a note a few times. Anytime the Frog Brothers were on screen and in their store, there was like a hippie couple. They were like asleep, laying on
That's
each
mom
other
and dad.
next to the TV.
That's mom and
That's
dad.
their parents? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
They're just passed out by the TV. Like,
They were
every
up hunting
freaking day.
vampires all
Vampire
night.
hunters. They're hunting vampires. You're sleeping all day.
I was like, what is going on here?
Also,
I think-
I'd like to say the kids that were in tie-dye were, I think, a little bit more riot side than the punk people were in there. When they were kind of going through and showing you the montage of all the different kind of cultures in Santa Clara.
Well, I like the reference to like the ex-hippies, like kind of like acknowledging like, hey, the 70s, they're different. That was a time that happened, and we're kind of coming off the end of that. But now we're in the 80s, which is totally different, and we're doing a whole new thing. I liked
Mohawks
that.
and colored hair.
But they were
smoked
still
the
there.
devil's
You had
lettuce,
the
and now they're
hippies.
drinking the devil's wine.
Well, and
My
they're
grandpa
like,
grows it right outside his kitchen window.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, there was like it's that 70s and 80s like crossover, which I really liked. I think it was very appropriate for like the casting choices and the scene that they were painting. I really that was good stuff. I like that.
Michael's almost called Moonbeam or Moonchild or
Yeah,
something.
I think he said moon. I noticed in like the subtitles and the delivery, I think they were different. I think one said moonshine and one said moonbeam. So I think it was different between the script and what was delivered.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was didn't Frank Zappa name his kids?
Dweezil.
Yes.
That's not
I
human.
think one was Moon Unit.
Moon unit.
Moon.
Yeah.
Unit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check on that, but yeah, he had some interesting names. But yes, from that era, anything is possible. You could run a very successful comic book store, sleeping all day.
Ahmet,
Yeah.
Diva, Moon, and Dweezil.
Okay, Moon.
Just straight moon. What was his middle name? Was
But
it
Moon Moon Unit is definitely a solid name. Steven,
Unit.
fourth child, Moon Unit. Go.
Yeah, sure. You know what? If it happens, no problem.
Go to the funky store, funky.store. Steven needs,
Yeah, fun
Name.
fourth child.
Team
Fun.
Steven needs money.
Yeah,
For
help
fun
name the
Moon
fourth
Unit.
one.
Oh, and how?
Well, how do we like to score this thing? Because I feel like we've talked up and down this movie a little bit, but we didn't really talk about any of the finales or the plot building.
I do have one thing that I wanted to bring up, which is the titling of the film being The Lost Boys, which it is a Peter Pan reference. Like, I'm not just making a joke about that. You have so Max is Peter Pan, and he's assembling the Lost Boys, and he's trying to get a mother for the Lost Boys, which is
His
Lucy.
Wendy. His
Yes,
Wendy.
his Wendy.
Yeah.
He's trying to find his Wendy. I liked that. I thought that was very fun. It kind of paints a different picture of the Peter Pan story was always about vampires, like Neverland, where you live forever and you never grow up. It's always been a vampire story. It felt like a good I see what they're doing. That's crazy.
I mean, I've never
Guy's
thought
making
of
a
it
lot
like
sense today. I don't know what's
that.
happening.
like his alien takes from last episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rubbing off. He planted an
Literally.
alien facehugger, and now it's exploded.
Have emerged a new person.
It's full vamping out right now.
Full vamp.
You named your file Alien.
I did.
You did. You sent it. Alien.
You named
review.
this one
I was like,
Hook.
Damn
It's
it.
just an objectively better.
Yeah, is this one going to be called? Hook
It's just an
review?
objectively better film, I think, in what it was trying to do, what it set out to do, and in accomplishing that. It's really fun, and I think there is times where like I can take like a serious movie that's telling a serious story and trying to be scary. I don't think Horizon did that by any means, but here I think it does make you sit down and enjoy it. And then you come out of it like, oh, I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm looking at all these scenes with the different light. And
Okay. I will say that I have seen this movie in pieces. I've seen this movie in its entirety, and I've rewatched it now in its entirety again. I didn't remember watching it in full way back when. It was probably at a Halloween party sometime in my teens at some point. But this movie has never stuck with me, and I don't know why. Cry Little Sister obviously has stuck with me. Kiefer Sutherland, the Coreys, like a bunch of elements have stuck with me for the bridge scene, but the movie in general has never stuck with me for some reason. And I don't know if that's just a me thing, because I was talking to another friend of mine who this is one of his favorite movies of all. It is on his top 10 list, and this is I wouldn't put anywhere near my top 10 list. I don't know what that is. Like, my nostalgic score for this movie is the lowest I've probably given most movies, other than a movie that I've never seen. And I've seen this movie, and it's pretty low. I even feel my overall score should be higher for this movie, but it ends up not being there. And it's not that I think that it's a bad movie. It's just it lands it doesn't resonate with me. I watched this movie and was trying to formulate what we were going to discuss here, and I'm like, I don't remember what I just watched. Like, it's still, even today, still not sticking with me for some reason. Like, I have it actively playing right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened, but it's not like where other movies we've watched have stuck with me and we've left, like Event Horizon, even The Ring we talked about last episode, where that movie, I left the movie theater and it was with me for a long period of time. Even Beetlejuice, we went and saw that in the theater. It had its problems. I still enjoyed it, but it stuck with me. I kept thinking about it day after day, going, oh, okay, here's this. This movie just kind of was, I tossed it aside. And maybe that's just a me problem with this movie, but yeah.
That's why those boys are lost, because people keep tossing them to the side. They won't ever be found. Keep tossing them to the side.
All the missing boys.
They're lost. They need help.
All right.
They need your help.
Does anybody
For 5 cents a day.
Yeah.
have any other points that they would? Does anybody else have any points that they'd like to make before we head into our final scorings for this?
I'm a little bit floored that like this one isn't something that sticks with you. Maybe because this is a Gen X film. Like we are coming into it way after the fact, not experiencing the lifestyle and the things that are kind of being portrayed on film here. So to hear that like this is the one that's not sticking, it's very interesting.
The millennials enjoyed this more than the Gen Xers. Is that
know.
what we're?
I
really?
think the scores might tell that story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, for like living through some of those eras and stuff, like those costume designs seem kooky and period specific and okay for you guys, but like living through it, no. Like people did not dress like that. Especially in damn Phoenix, Arizona, too. Like, you're some kind of, like, fashion mecca. Like, the kids wearing shoulder pads or something on, like a
blazer.
A cotton blazer over some big... Where do you even shop for that stuff? I don't even know. But No, like those kind of things like really drag it down for me, and it didn't hold that same kind of value. I get really creeped out looking at the sax guy and the whole thing. I'm like, that crowd is like really into the sax guy, and I'm like questioning the crowd's motives at this point. Like, what are they here for?
Exactly what you
So
think.
if
This feels like such a not my generation argument. Like I feel like you're.
But now if I brought my friend on who when I told
It's
him we
so
were doing
weird.
this movie, he was like, "Oh my God, let me on!" Like his score would have been a 99 for this. Like it would have
Yeah.
been through the roof. Like so you would have gotten
Oh
a
my
very
God.
different opinion.
Yeah, you know, like when they started doing "Cry Little Sister" from the beginning, and then they hit it in the middle, and then at the end, I was like, I'd never even heard a song like that before. That's so awesome. Oh my God, throw me off the cliff. Let me fall off of that train tracks. In fact, let the train hit me. I don't want to know the rest of this story. Just get me right out of here. Let me go hang out with Grandpa. I need a drink.
You're having some
Peanut butter boppers. That guy had the fridge snack stack on lockdown. He was like Red Vines and Dr. Pepper. He was my
Hell
dude.
yeah.
I'd go hang out with him all the time. He was my first introduction to like really good dry humor and taxidermy. I think I was freaked out for a long time. And I would also like to say why I really hate this movie is because it turned me off from Chinese food as a child for so long. It single-handedly
That's fair.
stopped Chinese sales for at least a decade. And I love Chinese food. I'm glad I came over the fear of worms and maggots to actually get into some, General's chicken. So
And what was the other
Sorry.
thing we talked about in what movie was it? Where MS? In Beetlejuice. We were
Beetlejuice,
talking
the MSG.
The MSG. Yeah, like
And,
actively
like-
holding down the Chinese food industry.
it
Yeah.
resonated. They came out at like the same time, and between MSG and this movie, I was like, I can't do the Chinese.
No
food.
Chinese food.
No,
All right.
no food from China.
So do we want my score first, or do you want to hear my score at the end?
I kind of want to hear Cam's, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's do it.
Are we gonna go top to bottom? Are we sticking at nostalgia right now? Because like you kind of opened up nostalgia.
I was
Let's
just
do it.
running that if I was going to run down the score. So let's do it like we did last time. So you run down your nostalgia, production value, spirit, rewatchability, and overall thoughts, and then give us your final score, and then we'll do that for everybody.
So for nostalgia, I do give this one on the 6. Like I find myself in these spots where it's like it really should hit harder for me, but it doesn't because they just take their own kind of creative directions into different zones. So like not everything matches up. These people aren't exactly hardcore. At the end of the day, they're just vampires that glitter somehow. But like it is fun to go back and see this stuff. So I'm 6 there. For production value, I actually think the production value was really good. I think they have great practical effects. I think the set designs were awesome. I loved all of the cars in this movie. And I even enjoyed the boardwalk scenes and the house for the fight scene at the end. I really, really loved the outside. His whole property was awesome. There's not a thing I'd change about Grandpa's house except maybe a little less taxidermied animals, but all the wind chimes and things outside, great. So production value in this one is an 8. As far as spirit and intent, I do think they actually hit spirit and intent on this movie. They didn't do a lot of storytelling at the end of the day. I would put this one more into the 7 side instead of going higher. And as far as rewatchability, for me, it's low. Like from coming back to it from decades, I would want to go into a 6 range, but for me, it's a 5 on a rewatchability, just because I don't think it resonated so hard on the nostalgia points. And then overall score, I'm missing one, aren't I?
Nope. Overall thoughts. Your overall thoughts.
Yeah.
I guess that.
I was trying to sum up in my head. So the for overall in this movie, I would still go into a 7. Like, it is a fun watch. There are elements that are great. It does suffer from its own faults. I would love to see an expansion, like Steven talked about, of going on and telling more. I think that could have been done. I think it could still be kind of cool. I like seeing the Coreys together too. That was fun and for me, but yeah, so
we'll have to add some more Corey movies into the mix here.
Yeah, well, were there 3 License to Drive, and then
Dream a Little Dream.
Dream a Little Dream. I think that was the trifecta of their 3 movies.
Okay.
I don't know if they had another one besides the series.
I don't know off the top of my head. All right. So, what was your final score for?
Yeah, so that's 66.
66%. 66%.
Deliver it all in
Yeah.
one cohesive. My overall score.
We're like trying to. we're like, we mesh together well. So yeah, sorry about that one.
That's okay.
I really did play Steven's role for this one. Like, I think the credits are still playing on my TV in the back, like when we started. So.
Oh, you did this one right before.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like rewatched it right up into the wee hours.
That's all right. Me and Steven were watching it late at night.
Okay.
I feel that is the appropriate amount of ambience for this film.
Yeah, he just kicked me out of my voodoo at like midnight.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought it was okay.
All right,
fine.
Katherine, let's hear what you got for a score on this one.
Well, I'm complete opposite of Cam because I absolutely love this film. I would say probably in my top 10 at this point. I really, really did love it. I grew up watching this. I had such a high nostalgia for it. I mean, it was like kind of a horror coming of age Goonies type of film. It was fun, campy, a little scary. I gave it an 8 for nostalgia because I've seen this movie so many dang times.
Okay.
Production value, I have glitter in all caps with like 4 exclamation points.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I can give it a score of glitter.
A score of glitter.
All of
yeah.
the glitter.
all
Thanks for
all
the glitter, guys.
So we have, what was it? The Craft with candles. This movie with glitter. What was Event Horizon? We used something else. on Event
Explosives?
Horizon. Explosives. that's what it
CGI.
was.
Floating,
CGI.
It was a
yeah.
CGI.
yeah, floating popcorn and stuff. Whatever
Yeah,
that
here we
was.
go. Well, this one is glitter. They used all the glitter in this one. I liked the creative use of like the camera and the cinematography of the flying scenes with just like how small the budget that they had, they were able to like really show and don't tell, like Steven was talking about.
Yeah.
And as much as Nick hates the costumes, I loved the costumes. They were ridiculous. They were absolutely ridiculous.
It was specifically Corey Haim's costumes. Everyone else was
Okay.
pretty
too.
fine.
Matt, both of them were unnecessarily over the top, but I mean, I guess
I
so.
love the vampires' costumes. They're ridiculous. They're
Yeah,
so
no,
80s.
those are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are. They're a biker gang. They're motorcycle gang. They're in appropriate attire. That was
Also-
fine. I
Yeah.
didn't have a problem.
let's just be real for a second. There's no motorcycle gangs that are like running like off-road bikes.
Yeah, the dirt bike.
No.
Like
Okay,
when
let's
dirt
rewind.
bikes- I thought they were doing a great thing when he was like, "Oh, I can't keep up with your bike." I was like, "Oh my god, he's going to take like a Harley or some kind of like
Yeah.
highway bike onto," and then it like cut and it was a dirt bike. And I was like, "Ah, son of a
Dirt
bitch!"
Yeah, but it was that round headlight. Like, it's just
It's
not
ruined.
as aerodynamic, I guess, as vampire.
I don't know. I was like,
headlights.
"Why are we all on BMXs?" Like,
Vampire
I get that
headlights.
they're doing it because they're being shatheeds, but like. He came from Arizona, so I guess that makes sense that he has a dirt bike too. But he pulled it off on the highway. He's like, I'm tired of riding with mom and brother. Like, I'm gonna ride it
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I thought he had something more classic, which said that hey, Like, I'm not going to
No.
be able to do this run that you're trying to do. But then he still was on a dirt bike. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, and like based upon their gear, you would think that they were all gonna do like some caravan to a Cure show or something. Like they looked way too emo to be like a biker gang on dirt bikes. Like the whole thing is ridiculous. But Joel Schumacher was like, "Yes, I can totally sell this." You say 8 million? Gotcha.
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Hold my glitter.
Their clothing
Hold my
clothing
glitter,
was
yeah.
all appropriate for what we have established as this
Yeah.
transient vampire motorcycle-y
Big glam
dirt
rock.
bike gang. Yeah. All right, Catherine, let's finish out your scores. I know we
Finish
got
up.
derailed there a little bit. So production
Yeah.
value.
Production value. I said the makeup was pretty awesome too. Like all of the prosthetics for the vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched the 4K version of it, and it was more apparent that the prosthetics didn't blend as well to their skin
I would
tone.
imagine.
It was like it just didn't match. So you could definitely tell they were wearing prosthetics. So I knocked
Max.
off a little bit on that. But I love the gory practical effects at the end, where you got all the different vampire kills with just like the bathroom just exploding with blood, like all the
Yep.
pipes throughout the whole house just destroyed, even the kitchen, and then the electrocution, death by stereo. That was great. So I
Would've
gave it an
preferred Death
8.
by MTV.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave it an 8. Spirit and emotional value. I liked all the different stories kind of going, like, yes, they were underdeveloped and they could use a little more on each storyline, but I liked how they all converged at the end and connected and made sense. But also I loved the melodrama of the Frog Brothers. I thought it was hilarious. And just, while Nick hated it, I thought it was funny.
I do like.
No,
the
I didn't
Frog
hate them. I hated his put on voice. That was the only thing I
Yeah.
hated was his
You're
silly put-on
supposed
Yeah.
to.
voice.
You're supposed
You're
to. It's
supposed to.
supposed to be like, oh, he thinks he's Rambo. Okay, like.
Well, it annoyed the
They
crap
suck
out of
Hamming
me.
is
first
He's
blood.
supposed to. He is a
Campy.
child. You know, like.
Campy. I love the grandpa as well. Whenever they're carrying Laddie and Star up the stairs, the grandpa's completely unbothered about who they're bringing into his
Yeah,
house.
like
He's
here, let's just bring these corpses.
and he's like, but did you hear about my rule about gas? No? Oh, well, now you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're disposing of bodies.
That's where my headcanon is. Like, he already knew what was going on. That's why he had his logs ready. Like,
Oh, in the back of the truck.
yeah.
But I agree with
All right.
Steven. There is a lot more story to tell there. It was just too fast paced. I wanted a little more. So I gave it an 8. But on
Okay.
rewatch, I love this film. Obviously, I've seen it a million times. I will watch it many, many times after that. So a 9. And then overall an 8.5.
Okay. Wow. You
Just
I really like this
blazed right
movie.
through that. Yeah. She was like clearing rooms. 8, 8.5, 9.
So 41.5. So that's an 83%.
wow.
So I did my math.
Okay.
Pre-mathing.
Pre-math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
So-
That's what's smart.
See, this
So,
is where
Steven.
I think my score should be landing. This is where I assumed I would be landing, and then when I came out at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I went, "Oh, that's not where I landed. What did I do wrong?"
Turns out I don't like any of the movies from my childhood.
They all suck.
Who would have thought that? Nostalgia.
Oh man.
So we bumping over to you, Nick, and then Steven?
No, let's go, Steven.
Okay. All right, Steven.
All right, Steven, it's all you.
Okay. So, nostalgia bias. I really like this period. I have to go, because I didn't see it. I'm coming in absolutely raw, seeing this for the first time. I was coming in the right, like, let's do a date night movie. Like, let's sit down, we'll have some popcorn. So I experienced it appropriately. Everything that was in it, I really thoroughly enjoyed, as far as, like, it's a period piece, which is a baseline 6. Like, if you can make a period piece in a time period that I care about, you get a baseline 6. They did a great job of touching into things that I enjoy about 80s cinema in general. So 7 is where I rated it. a nostalgia, having not seen it. Production
Okay.
value, I had a hard
can
time.
can I stop you for 1 second?
Sure.
Does it consider? I know you use the word period piece, but is it considered a period piece when it's just in the time that it was made in 87? Like it was just of the if 2024 you made a movie set in 1987, that would be a period piece.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
I'm on
so
Nick.
so no,
I'm
because you
with
can.
Nick on this one.
No. So I'll defend it. So in the
Okay.
80s,
Come on,
you
Team
could make a
Glitter with
70s
this.
film, and do it poorly. You in the 80s, you could do a period piece of the future and do it poorly. Like you accurately representing this kind of niche era of transition to 70s and 80s, which I think they did a really good job of doing.
But
Yes,
it's
it's
late
current era,
80s.
But I think
And I'm saying they didn't. I'm saying for someone who grew up in California, who lived there, who saw all of this put together, I'm saying like that's not an accurate representation of it. If anything, I think they did the period an injustice.
okay. Well, I mean, you can be wrong, and that's fine.
I mean, how many dudes were walking around with ponytails and chain necklaces with saxophones? There was no
People that were
sax man
intentionally
prior to this.
supposed to stick out,
He's
because
still doing
that
it.
was the theming in the costuming, which is why I'm saying this is a good job of it. They took like some of the upper, like, this is weird kind of dress for the time. That's why they're sticking out. That's why Sam is being targeted. That's why Michael's being targeted as like, hey, you don't belong here. You're dressing kind of weird. Like you're from Arizona. That doesn't make sense. And they fit in with the vampires. Like that's intentional storytelling within the show don't tell.
Sure.
And even if they are doing it in Common Era, you can do Common Era wrong. My specific example is like if you're making a movie today in 2024 and you do really bad Zoomer lingo or really bad Zoomer dress, that's not a good period piece of doing current era. That is very much something that
all
corporate.
Zoomer stuff is awful anyways, so
But if you're not documenting
Point.
it correctly, like you expect Warner Brothers today to do an accurate 2024 piece.
I never interacted with one individual that wore any kind of a suit jacket as a child. That is absolutely insane.
that is a
if-
costume designer putting that together.
Yeah, like that's a costume designer putting that together for like something that may have been like relevant within fashion, just not on a child. It looks.
He also had
weird.
that we were talking about Sam still, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that
Sam.
poster,
I
the
mean,
Rob
like,
Lowe poster, like that is a good like this kid's he different. He's looking at the world a little bit differently. He's looking at that fashion a little bit different.
I've
Like,
also
that
never taken a bubble bath like that ever
Yeah.
in my life.
like
That was-
this is good.
Just
Like that
saying,
is
I
good.
may
Show
be
don't
repressed.
tell. Like this kid is susceptible.
no, that was
He's-
touch, don't tell.
There was some weird like I didn't like I said it out loud, like these brothers are really handling like physically touching each other to a weird extent that I don't like. Like
I mean, they're frogs.
no, Michael and Sam.
Those
There was a
aren't
lot
frogs.
of really weird touching.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yes.
A period
yes.
piece definition is an object or work that is set or strongly reminiscent of an earlier historical period.
So not just set in its present day.
Time,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
Thank you.
earlier could be
Lawyers.
last year.
Oh my God!
Last year.
Put
So
holy
if you're
water
doing
on
a
this kid and
COVID
let him
period piece
explode
now.
all over a bathroom.
Oh my god.
Your evil has been vanquished.
Okay, where are we at?
Okay,
Production value?
yeah. You got a 7 for nostalgia? Is that what we were at?
Yes. Yeah.
Or
and
were
we're
you
moving
7
on.
in production value?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then moving on to production value, I really couldn't take away too many points. I really tried to like start at a 10 and work down when we're talking about production value. I gave it a 9, which is I think is very high. The only thing that really took me away from the experience of the story that they were trying to tell were those weird zoom cuts. I didn't like those. It was very like bad campy. Like I like campy when it's a stylistic choice. This just felt like bad editing or like trying to do something weird. So that was the only really point that I was just like pulled away. Love the practical effects. I hope we see that level of practical effects coming in the future. I like really working within like story or like implying something through cinema, like the flying, like the montage was okay. For those kind of things, like time has passed, rather than what we start seeing in the later films after this time period, where they like, oh, let's do CGI. It doesn't matter if it looks bad. We're just using CGI for CGI. That's I dock a lot of points there.
This was 5 years before CGI was created in Jurassic Park.
Right, but you could also do something like like Chronicles of Narnia, or The Lion, the Witch of the Wardrobe.
Yes.
Where they did like 2D drawings over stuff, and it's like, okay, that doesn't look as good, where maybe you had some live animals or just didn't do that film. Like, they really worked within what they could accomplish on budget and with technology that was available to that time. So I can rate it pretty strongly on that 9. Spirit, I think there's a lot of flaws in the storytelling and the choices of not telling the full story. Lots of great show don't tell, so really good on that point. I think they wanted to accomplish a lot in a shorter runtime of an hour and a half, so I give it a 7. Rewatchability, I'm going to add a little bit of a justification to my rewatchability score. I think this is something that if remade, I would totally watch it. Like, going through this project with Gen Wars, something like Time Bandits, I didn't watch the new series. No one did. It got canned.
It got canceled.
Right. So something like this, if done well, I would rewatch it, knowing that's what's going to happen, and see how they do it. I would rewatch this film. I think it kind of fills a really good date night, Halloween, spooky era like film. It's really fun. I enjoyed myself. I don't really enjoy watching a lot of films. This one hits up there, so I put it at an 8. Overall, I think it's an 8. I think it's something that people should watch. I can see why it's high in top 10s for people. I think it's a hit or miss film. I think you really enjoyed it. You don't have really any problems with it, or it's just not for you. There is a good chance that this wasn't for me, but it kind of really checked all my boxes as far as, like, I just enjoy this film. And my overall score being a 39 out of 50, putting it at a 78. So really, really good C tier. Like, top end C tier.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Again, where I think my short score should be landing, and yet it does not land there.
Welcome to the D list, buddy. Tell me about it.
Okay, so nostalgia. As I said it before, I watched this movie in pieces. I've seen this movie a few times, but it's never stuck with me. And it just, I don't know why it's never grabbed me in that realm. So I gave it a 4.5 of nostalgia, which is, like I said, the lowest I've probably going to give a movie in Gen Wars. I mean, unless I absolutely have never seen it. Production value, I give it a 7. I do like the camera work that they did with the flying, the blood practical effects. It was a weird choice that it wasn't as either deep red, like our arterial blood red that they would normally use, or bright vibrant red where it's so punchy it's absurd. They went with this kind of brown tone, and that's just something that you don't often see. You could tell when it hit stuff.
It was only on the vampire kills and in the sewer stuff. The bright red blood, more traditional blood, was on the beach scene. For clarity.
Okay, it was dark, so but I have it up right now, and they just showed the kitchen, and it was being covered in blood, but it was very brown.
That's backup, baby. That, like, if you've been down in your pipes, that's what water is coming back up.
That's sewage blood.
So it's just those little things like that I've noticed. The Corey Feldman put on, I don't know if that falls into the production value, annoyed me. Some of the clothing, Corey Haim's...
What do you mean it annoyed you?
Corey Haim's wardrobe, the production wardrobe was just... It was rough. I saw some of that stuff. I would never have worn half of that stuff, but it was stuff that I remember...
Buddy.
Where is this black hole of Phoenix, Arizona? Like, he looked like he was straight off of Miami Beach in some of his, like, outdoor wear, and then others was like, yeah, no, he really looked like he was Miami Vice. He was trying to like emulate some Don Johnson nonsense.
Well, maybe he was looking forward to moving to California, and he was like, "Hey, I wanna like interact and be part of that crowd." You know?
Yeah,
Fit
yeah.
in with the cool kids. Yeah.
Can't wait to see water.
Yeah, he is. He's like this is what they wear out there. I got to be prepared. He looks like one of those people that he takes it like
They had no money. It was established early on that they had no money. That's why they were like asking
moving in with
random
Dad.
people in the beginning if they could, like, if they had jobs. They were like, nothing legal. Like, I don't know. It was a weird
they
wanted
spent it all on
ads
Sam's wardrobe
montage.
to make him feel
Yeah,
better.
they really did. It was like, well, you know,
That mom's in credit
divorce
card
kind
debt.
of
She's like,
has
oh, I feel
some
so bad about
problems."
divorcing your dad. Why don't you want some nice
Well,
clothes? We're going to
Can
California.
we,
that's-
can we
Feel
talk
good.
about that for like what the hell happened with that family? I was like, you uprooted from Arizona to California here. Can we at least talk about how bad Dad was? What did he do?
Nope.
I don't know.
And she was making lighthearted jokes about it, and then she was
I-
already
I
dating
feel like she was
somebody.
like, I
so
just need to
quickly.
get away from
time.
your
She
father.
wasted-
Like, God
Yeah,
damn.
yeah.
Yeah. And then
He's
so quickly
demanding
went on to
about the
date
dishes.
Max. Yeah. Or the closet.
All right.
thing.
All right. So back to my production
Off track.
value. That's okay. I like when they dropped him in the tub of garlic and holy water, and we got the good face melty practical. That was
Yeah.
excellent. All of the underling vampires their makeup was great. When they got to Max, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's facial structure or they just got lazy. I don't know. It just didn't look good. Everyone else's
Yeah.
looked great. His looked real bad. So my production value score lands at a 7. My spirit for this movie lands at a 7 as well. I would have liked more of a how do I want to phrase this? A more of a linear reveal of, oh no, you're turning into a vampire. Like he got the comics. He was like, oh, vampires, and his brother, you know, they're standing in the mirror, and he's like, you're a vampire, and then we kind of don't address it again until he like fully goes vampire. Where I would have liked more of a linear progression of like, what's happening to you? How come you're doing this? Why can't I see you in the mirror? I guess more the traditional unveiling of we're turning into a vampire here, which I didn't.
Netflix, please.
Duffer Brothers, please get on
Formerly
this. And
Duffer Brothers
do
doing this
this
for Netflix would absolutely pop off. I am sorry. I don't think I'm wrong here.
Send
Yeah,
a
no, I
formal
don't-
letter to the Duffer
I
brothers.
don't disagree.
Steven.
You in the comments, send this URL, send this whole thing to the Duffer
Yes.
Brothers.
Hashtag,
At Duffer,
hashtag
at
blood
Duffer
there.
Brothers,
at
yeah.
Duffer Brothers. All right, so 7 for Spirit. Rewatchability, I give it a 6. Something that I would rewatch kind of at Halloween time. I don't hate this movie. This is not me hating on this movie. It's just not one that I would run to. It doesn't hold that place for me that it does for other people of my generation. So my overall thoughts for this movie was I gave it a 6.5. I liked seeing the Coreys back together, not back together, but their start here.
Together.
We haven't together in general, yes. And it's 87. I was 7 years old. I don't know. It was fine. It was a fun, enjoyable movie. I don't seek it out. Again, it didn't stick in here. It just kind of, I watched it and it went off to the wayside. Clearly, every time I've watched this movie. So my overall score is a 32. So that's a 64%. Oof. Right? Nope, 62%.
Steven.
Sorry.
Does
I
that put it
recalculated.
below
Hold on.
Time Bandits?
Yeah, that's way below Time Bandits.
You got to get some kind of like CT scan or something, brother. Like,
I was literally gonna say that. I was like, Nicholas liked Time Bandits more than this movie.
does that put both of you liking Time
Sorry, yeah,
Bandits? more than this movie?
62.
I hope not.
62%.
I do like this movie more than Time Bandits, but I mean, scores
Yeah.
are scores.
Yeah, so
Nick,
31.
do you have notes on
30
all of our previous scores?
No.
Future Nick.
We should.
I mean, I do. We can go back and look at them, but I don't have them readily available. But yeah, so 31%, 31 out of 50. It's just a 62%. So again, I don't hate. This is not me hating on this movie. That's still a positive and if we're going with the Rotten Tomatoes of it all, it's still a positive review. It's just not one that I run to seek for either vampires or horror
Glitter.
or whatever that is, glitter, or Kiefer Sutherland, or
I gave Time Bandits a 50%.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Whew, I was
gave
panicking.
Time Bandits a 50.
I did.
You did?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Steven, what was yours? Do you
I can
remember?
check. It's low. I think it's like a 30.
I had it. Yeah, I have this all in my Google Docs.
28%.
20.
So
That
we
was
do not
dog
have
shit.
access to
This is cut from the footage. So The Lost Boys on IMDb has a 7.2 out of 10. So I think you guys are just goofing.
They crazy.
Hey,
It's
man,
just
I,
it's like I said, it's-
I didn't drink the blood on this
Well, I
one.
didn't either.
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you
Maybe,
didn't?
man. No, because
you
I'm
need healing.
treating it like an E.T. or the Goonies or that kind of, because like I feel like Sam is almost the better main character of this story when when you're looking at it.
Sure.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you want to do Goonies, my score is going to be drastically different. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be night and
Yeah.
day difference.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
This-
compared this
put,
to Goonies.
I'd probably
Well, I
put
feel like it
Goonies
falls in
the
that same
90s.
genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think this falls into the same genre as
No,
Goonies?
Goonies
Yes.
is an
No.
adventure movie.
This is an adventure. This
No,
is Sam's
I-
adventure on saving his brother and killing some
No,
vampires.
no. Adventure, as in going from one place to another, not.
Yeah, they
not
went
a
from
like-
Arizona
journey
to
of-
California to the murder capital.
I
No,
think
they
the
were already
One-Eyed Willy
there.
Kids willingly went into this, whereas like this is a cause and effect type scenario.
They
where,
willingly went down into the nest. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because they knew they were going to kill. Like the cause and effect of like having vampires in your area is you got to kill the vampires. And these kids knew that, so like I think they were just taking out the trash.
Right, yeah, this is a
Like-
kid's hero story. Like,
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
like
not
no
an
one,
adventure
no one
movie.
found a treasure map and started this whole
In their attic, yeah.
yeah in their attic during the rain, which we didn't even
with
see
Star
rain
not a
in
treasure
California.
to be discovered for
Oh,
Michael.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Something needs to get black
I
holed
officially
out of
did more
existence.
writing into the romance than that whole movie did. So,
Oh,
I'm
so bad.
So
Well,
wait, you've seen the Goonies, Steven?
one time. I've seen it once when I was in college. And I don't remember shit about
We might need to revisit that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
eventually.
so here, let me read you off the two IMDb what the categories are. The Lost Boys, supernatural horror, teen horror, comedy, and horror. The Goonies, quest, teen adventure, teen comedy, adventure, comedy, and family.
comedy.
Very vastly different.
No, same movies.
Oh,
Well, it's like
they
coming
had
of
funny
age,
lines.
too.
movie.
Yeah, see, they do that thing.
Ooh, ooh.
One-Eyed Willie, the vampire.
But didn't I just say it's like a coming of age movie, kind of like the Goonies?
They're
but
both
with
coming
horror?
of age movies, 100%.
Yeah,
Just
that's
not
what I'm
horror.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could.
Yeah.
If you think coming of age into a vampire, since they can live forever, that's the age they were coming into.
Yeah, but to reject it
wouldn't-
and not be immortal and not
And
be
then
a
like
child
become a
forever
lost
and-
boy
Would-
and never grow
No,
up.
I wouldn't consider Lost Boys a coming of age movie at all.
What the-
No, I can't. You're frozen on my screen, and I know what you're. You're doing this, so
How is this not a
I
coming
just-
of age story? What?
it's
There's two coming of age stories. They literally told two characters coming of age stories.
Yes.
no
It's a 2-for-1, baby. Like,
62%. 62%.
It's
All
it's
right,
low on
well-
purpose.
I rolled the dice.
Let's-
This guy
let's-
is just raw.
Yeah. They're crazy, Steven.
That's okay.
All right,
That's
let's
fine.
Millennials
We
let's
got the
won
land
this
combative
round.
conversation in this episode.
let's land this. Let's land this vampire ship. Steven, give us some plugs to round us out here, will you?
Oh my, we have a great cast of people just like the movies that we review. We're doing a lot of different stuff here. You can check out Nick's stuff at Fire Hazard 508 Creations, where he makes playthings into display things. You can check out Katherine over on Spectacle Views, where she is living her Disney millennial best life. Lots of great content over there. You can check out Cam on Never Touching Grass. The big Call of Duties, Zombies, Black Ops 6 game is here. If you're watching it in the future where that game is a different game, there's still going to be zombies, and he's still not going to be touching grass. So you can check that out at Never Touching Grass. And you can check out me over at Funky Games, where I'm playing through all quintessential video games because I lived under a rock. I didn't watch movies, I didn't play video games, but I'm doing it now later in life, and that's okay. But you can follow my journey over at Funky Games.
Make sure you like and subscribe here, and leave comments below for other movies that you'd like us to see or review, and Steven to watch that he's never seen, because I'm sure
Apparently,
throw
there's a lot.
You throw a dart out
Just
there,
throw
you'll
a dart.
hit one.
You hit one. Absolutely.
Also, send some music recommendations, because apparently he hasn't listened to music under a rock either. So,
Yeah.
well,
I guess we gotta do some
Like
album
Plankton's
reviews
cover
too.
of Pink Pony Club has been like living rent free in my head for right now. So I don't get the like not liking covers aspect of it. Like that's a banger.
Woo! All right.
Have you-
On that note, see you guys in the next one. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.
I...
Bye.